Let's bring in Fox News legal editor Kerri Urbahn and Donna Rotunno, criminal defense attorney, host of the Crime and Justice podcast with Donna Rotunno, also a Fox News contributor. Thank you both for being here. Big day, obviously, a lot of news and headlines in this case. Donna, I want to start with you. Mangione today admitted to killing Brian Thompson in cold blood, and yet now his defense is motioning immediately to dismiss the state charges, and that's where the murder charges are. So how likely is that to succeed?
Well, I think it is likely to succeed given New York's very strict double jeopardy law. New York law says that you can't try someone for the same type of case, same set of circumstances, and this was. And though it seems like it's very unbelievable that this could happen, because one jurisdiction has charged him with essentially the same facts as we just saw this week with the Paul Manafort case, we're sort of in the same position here with Luigi Mangione and Brian Thompson. This move by the defense was really quite unusual given the fact that the trial date had been set, and now Mr. Mangione comes forward and says, yes, I know what I did was illegal. I printed part of that gun. I executed this man on the streets of New York, and now he is convicted. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in New York, but we know that that is going to be heard very shortly because the motions have already been filed. I know the prosecutors say that they're going to fight this, but legally they have a very high hill to climb.
Kerri, what Mangione admitted to be used in the state case in any way? I mean, does the federal plea decide what could have been disputed, or can the prosecution use anything that he said under oath in his state trial if that does move forward?
Potentially, yes. In fact, the prosecution could seek to admit all of it. Now, of course, the defense is going to raise objections and say, for instance, just the admission of the guilty plea alone would raise issues of undue prejudice. The jury wouldn't be able to think of anything else. Could he get a fair trial that way? But where I think the prosecution would have a certainly more compelling argument as far as what's admissible would be the statements that Mangione agreed to and made during the guilty plea itself, how he said he shot him, and all of the premeditation activities that he engaged in before he got to that point. And so that's why it was especially important what he said today, to be listening to that, because that could be used in the state trial should we get there. But as Donna points out, it's very possible that ends up not happening at all given the New York double jeopardy law.
Donna, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jamie McDonald, said that Mangione pled open. Here's what he said on that.
One other point that's important to note. While the defendant pled guilty, our office does not have a plea agreement with him. Instead, he pled open, which means he pled guilty to all pending counts in the indictment. There are no accommodations or concessions, and we are free to seek the maximum penalty under the law.
Can you explain, Donna, what is an open plea? What does he gain by making that plea?
So an open plea is also known as a blind plea. And what that means is you go in before the court, you throw yourself on the mercy of the court, you say, I plead guilty, and then you live with whatever sentence the judge gives you. So there's no consideration ahead of time letting you know what you may get. So therefore, you would want to enter into this plea. So the government is very clear to say we did not work with him. We did not give him a cap number that we would agree to with the judge. So he is still looking at a life sentence without the possibility of parole, depending on what this judge does. In terms of what he gains not going through a state trial potentially. This is a gamble. It's a roll of the dice. They are hoping that by entering this plea, the state case will not proceed. The defense also, in their pleadings today, said that part of the reason this case should be dismissed is that based on these dual prosecutions, Luigi Mangione's due process was violated, meaning he cannot defend himself in the way he wants to defend himself, given the fact that the defenses in one court maybe don't fly in another, and therefore there's contradictory prosecutions happening. And so that's another contention they're making in their motion to dismiss the state case.
Kerri, I want to play for you what the defense said and have a question for you on the other side.
This tragedy shocked the nation, left a deep impact on everyone it touched. Violence driven by hostility toward opportunity and success stands in sharp contrast to the values true Americans hold dear. While a plea was entered today, we know the crime has not been erased.
Kerri, did the state and federal cases operating on two separate tracks sort of harm the ultimate outcome here for people who look at this crime and want to see him behind bars for as long as possible? Was this unusual in any way?
I don't think so. I think it can happen where both federal and state are prosecuting a similar crime at the same time. They're dual sovereigns, different interests of justice and the like. Different charges here too, right? He pled guilty to stalking in New York. The charges are second-degree murder and some weapons charges. But look, as I pointed out earlier, this is the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. This is his second week on the job, Jamie McDonald. And so he's starting with a bang. And I think it was especially important that he made the point to say in the statement following the guilty plea that the Department of Justice intends to seek life imprisonment. It's obviously a message of deterrence. And this was something that was begun under the Biden DOJ. This was Merrick Garland who brought these charges initially. Then Pam Bondi picked up the torch, handed it over to Todd Blanche. And so this is a significant moment today for DOJ and also New York City as far as what they're saying to the country, that this kind of behavior is not going to be tolerated.
Okay. Kerri Urbahn, Donna Rotunno, thank you so much. Obviously, keep watching this. It is a big one. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.